Sometimes words just fail me, and such is the case for this week's car, the Audi RS7. Earlier in the year, we had the RS family out on the track, all except for the RS7. We even had the glorious R8. It is the sun around the other RS models rotate. But also in the orbit are the other Audi models, and they're more like small moons somewhere out in the distance. The RS7 has a full litre turboed V8, an 8-speed Tiptronic transmission, and it's got Quattro all-wheel drive. But not only that, it's actually got four-wheel steering as well. So the front wheels do that. In fact, it does this at low speed and this at high speed. And what it does is it improves the handling, make the turning circles smaller. I think this looks magnificent. There are some that disagree with me, and quite simply, you are wrong. You're either wrong or blind. The bonnet has this elegant sculpting, and just look along the side of the car. Look at how the guards bulge. And a particular high point are these matrix LED lights. Now, I was using them the other night. I'm not quite sure if it's going to show up. I'm relying on my dash cam for this footage, but they don't go into high beam and out. They kind of open, more like a stage curtain. They come up like this. And as the car moves across in front of the lights, just individual cells turn on and off. This side profile is just gorgeous. But you'll notice the pillar is rather thick and the windows are rather small and the roof is rather low. This is a gentleman's limousine, a gentleman's sports limousine, a GT car in the truest sense of the word. But have a look at the 22-inch wheels. Those brakes are the size of dinner plates, and that caliper takes up nearly the whole space. You may think this is a booted car, it certainly looks it. And there's even a little spoiler back here for good measure. But these lights do a little dance when you turn the car on, and it goes all the way across the back. And if you've got the key in your pocket, you can just swipe your foot underneath, and this works every time, unlike some we could name. Under the floor is only a repair kit. The seats go down 40-40-20, and on the top of this fixed parcel shelf is a little pop-up spoiler. No, just kidding, it's a window shade. The rest of the cargo cover is actually attached to the back door. Along with the open button, just in case things don't work, by the way, there's the camera, you can close and lock the car from the boot. The reason I'm doing this from this side is because the driver's side seat slides back for easy entry. It's a feature you can turn off, but when it does, the back rear space is a little bit tight, so you'd have to kind of warn people behind to shift their feet before you turn the car off, or put them out first. One of the upgrades is this gorgeous Alcantara hood liner, and of course it's got a tilt and slide sunroof, and the opening is actually quite generous. Everything inside looks incredibly classy. And I love the feel and look of the seats. When the ignition's on, you get another couple of zones of climate control in the back, a couple of USB outlets, and a power outlet. And you also get vents in the pillar, as well as on the back of the rear console. Getting into the front is a little bit easier. Of course, there's keyless entry, which means so long as the key is in your pocket, it'll lock and unlock. One of the things I want to show you is what happens when you press the ignition. It's down here on the center console along with a lot of other controls. You can see the screens are all black. But when you press this, look at that. Now that I've started it up, the seat has slid forward and we're faced with this elegant dash. This is Audi's virtual cockpit. You can see the fingerprints on this screen, but not to worry. Audi gives you a cleaning cloth. On the door is the normal window and locking switches, and a boot release, which I particularly like. That means it'll be open by the time you get out to get your parcels. Most people get into a car and they'll program their favourites. That's certainly what I do. And if you list this, that's all of the stations that are available to you. If you want your favourites, you'll notice there's no favourites button. What you have to do is go to Source and go into Favourites. Down below are the climate controls. There's also a row of easy access buttons that you can get at. You can program anything in there you like, including things like your home address for navigation. There's a couple of cup holders and a power outlet that you can see I've got my Navman plugged into, and behind that a lavishly padded armrest with a deep centre bin and your Qi wireless charger. One of the many things this RS7 has is stop start. So I've stopped to demonstrate and the engine is switched off. Now, if I was in traffic and the car in front moves off, the engine will automatically start because it knows that at traffic lights I'm going to want to take off. And I think that's pretty smart. Just going to pop the window down. Now, let's get moving. It gets to 100 kilometers an hour in around 3.8 seconds. So it doesn't give you a whole lot of time to enjoy it. I've got the window down just so that there's a hope of hearing the engine. I'm going to switch across to manual and use the paddles. On the dashboard, it's telling me not only what drive mode I'm in, but also what gear I'm in, which I like a lot. It gives me just the information I want, no more, no less. It also gives me my instant fuel consumption, which is pretty dire, especially once I drop it back to second. In dynamic mode, it's toughened up the suspension and given the steering a little bit more road feel. But it's the car itself, you can hear the turbos breathing, gasping for air and then spitting it back out. And as you slow down for corners, come down to second, round. Now of course I could go a lot faster than this around a corner, but it's so rewarding to hear that beautiful V8. It's a symphony. It is an absolute symphony. And as it changes gears, it burbles. In a four-cylinder, that sounds quite ridiculous. But in this, it sounds manly and mean, like the butler that met you at the door with your glass of champagne, using a tomahawk as a tray. This thing is a thug. It is a brute, but it's a brute in a dinner jacket. Now that I'm on the highway at 110 with almost no fuss, I'm going to tell you about a few of the controls. Instead of having the cruise control on the steering wheel in the front, it's got them on a stalk behind. And now it's on, and it's keeping me a set distance from the car in front. I can just sit back and relax. And the best thing about this cruise control is it'll slow down, so it's smart cruise control. It'll slow down. Oh, by the way, you can see now that there's a car coming up beside me on the inside of the mirror, not on the actual mirror surface itself. The other thing is that my heads-up display is also complementing what's here on the dash. And that's telling me that I'm at 110, that I've got my active lane control on and my active cruise control on. If I wasn't recording this for YouTube, I'd also play some music for you, because this Bang & Olufsen sound system is kick-ass. Now, interestingly, Bang & Olufsen Automotive is not the same as Bang & Olufsen at home, even though this looks very much like the tweeter on the top of my home speaker. That was sold off some while ago, because Bang & Olufsen is frequently in financial trouble, was sold off to Harman Kardon, or the Harman Group. Now, I mentioned that this has headlights. They've just come on. Unfortunately, the truck behind is using engine braking, so is incredibly noisy. Being in these tunnels is mesmerizing. And although the road surface is incredibly noisy, this is a reasonably quiet car. What I didn't mention is the front glazing here on the window is double glazing, like you've got at home, or at least you've got at home in cold parts of the country. And that's all this week from Audi's A7. I know I've said it before, but I really mean it this time. I've fallen in love with this car. This is perfect, were it not for the price. But as always, hit like, leave a comment, and just over here to subscribe.